I'm James Wiley, and I represent the life-saving project ReflectionsFromWithin.net. This will be a continuation from where we left off after the Pika story. Before I begin, I want to give a disclaimer that some of this stuff is not for the faint of heart. It might be triggering, so I just want you to be advised. But I feel it's important that I share this raw stuff as best I can so that maybe this truth will get out there and touch people in such a way that it'll help them have confidence to ask for help if they need it. And I want to be clear that having lived through this stuff I'm sharing, that I have been through it, I understand, and I will stand by you and support you through anything you're going through so that we can help your lives be better if you're struggling. So thank you for listening. All right. Thank you. All right. I ran away in July to live down in Casper for a while. I'm 15 years old. A girl has me stay with her. The police show up at her house to verify that I'm okay, but they don't take me. She and I hang out and play around Casper having fun. Her friend, she and I go out to Alcova Lake for a day and swim. On the 4th, we go to the Casper Event Center and make out under the fireworks display. That's cool. I start staying at her friend's house. It's a non-stop party. Then my dad comes, picks me up, and drives me back to Thermopolis. He never says a word to me. That's a long, silent trip back to Thermopolis. About a month later, I end up running away again. This time, it's because I get into a fight with my dad, and he tells me to go live with my whore mother. A friend of mine drives me to Cody. I plan to sleep in the trees in the park, but Ashley's parents will not allow that. I end up living with Ash for a while until I get the money to go to Florida and live with my mom. My dad shows up because the friend who had driven me to Cody told my dad where I was. My dad has brought a suitcase with clothes. He tells me that I can stay gone or I can come home. That's my choice. I tell them that I'm not going back. I love living with Ash. We go down to a pond by her house and we play. Her parents get me a job stacking wood, and Ash loves watching me work. She likes my tan, rippled body. The whole family goes into the mountains and we have picnics. Ash's mom takes all the kids putt-putt golfing at the park in Cody. Ashley and I spend a lot of time together. One day we go to the school where her mom works. The radio is playing outside the window of the classroom. Ash and I are sitting in as we wait for her mom. The song playing is from Aerosmith, and it's What It Takes. She said she loves this song, and I ask her to dance. We spend the rest of the song dancing closely together in the empty classroom. It's wonderful. When it's time for me to go, I give her a goodbye kiss. I would stay if she asks. I want Ash's family to adopt me. When I'm with them, I'm at peace. Ash's parents arrange a flight with a friend to fly me to Casper, and then I take a bus to Aurora. I'm in Aurora, where I spend a couple weeks living with Vanessa. Living with Vanessa is one of the best times of my life. We have so much fun together. Everything we do seems blessed and magical. Everything is fun, exciting, and is as if we are in our own little world that revolves around us. One day we go to Elitch's, and as soon as we enter the place, some man runs up and takes our picture. He tells us that we can buy the picture from a booth. There are rides everywhere, and we ride on almost all of them. When there is a line, someone usually notices us and calls us to join them. We make friends constantly, and it turns into a big party. Vanessa and I pick up the picture that the man had taken of us, and we look great together. At a strongman booth, I swing the big hammer and win a prize because I make the bell ring. The attendant gives us a soft stuffed toy. On the last ride we take, we get into a splashing contest with some other kids. Vanessa and I totally reign as champions in the water splashing washout. We were both still soaking wet, though. Vanessa's parents get mad at us when they pick us up because we have to go visit Vanessa's grandparents while we're soaking wet. Vanessa, I, and her friend go to see Arachnophobia at the movie theater. I'm eating Starburst candies, and during a scary scene, the one where the man goes into the shed with the massive web, I toss up a folded candy wrapper. The next thing I hear is a girl screaming. It's Vanessa Scrim. The wrapper had landed in her hair. Vanessa hits me on the arm for that, but I still think it's funny. I do not want to leave Aurora, but I have to get to Florida for school. I take the bus to Lake Charles and spend the day with my grandpa. He lectures me and lectures me. It seems I cannot do anything right, that I am just an awful kid. I shut up and clam up. It feels like knots in me. It is my grandpa, so I stay respectful and get through it. Thankful to leave, I get back on the bus and go to New Orleans, where I spend the night with my aunt and uncle. When I am in New Orleans, sitting in the bus terminal waiting for my aunt, I experience the worst dread. In my life, I have never been so scared and hurting like that up to that point. I literally hurt inside. This off feeling in me freaks me out. It reminds me of when I was in the Buffalo Cemetery. The worst part is that it is in the middle of the day and there's no one within many feet of me. The New Orleans bus station is wide open and huge, but it's old. My uncle and I play catch football in the streets. He gets concerned because I drop a pass and it hits the concrete. He does not want the ball to get damaged. The next day, he annihilates me at tennis. We play at the courts in Rue Park Fontaine, a big high-class apartment complex where I lived with my mom, near my grandma for a time when I was 9. Playing him and seeing the old neighborhood is fun. I have no clue how to keep score or how the score works, but it's nice to play. Grandma, Antonita, Uncle Leslie, and Karen take me to the mall to go shopping, and they buy me a variety of nice clothes for school. It is nice spending the afternoon with them. I'm happy to see them all. I'm a little mad at my Antonita, though, because she and Uncle Jim are no longer together. She left Uncle Jim to be with her boss, who makes more money. I had always thought they were happy together and did not understand why she would leave Uncle Jim to be with someone else just to have more money. I get on the bus and head to Florida. The bus travels along the coast and stops at every station. Then, the bus breaks down and we have to load onto another bus. There are not enough seats, so I lie across the top of the seats in the very back. The people on the new bus are good-humored and friendly. It was like a moving party. I'm looking forward to starting school and playing sports in Florida. I'm now living outside Ocala, Florida with my mom and third stepdad, and I'm 15 years old. I moved here by running away from my dad's house in Thermopolis after he told me to go live with my whore mother. My dad was aggressively mad. I could see the pain pouring out from him as Dad thought of her. I knew that she had hurt him bad and that he never got over it. The first day of school, when I get on the bus, the kids on the bus know me by name. I learned that during the year before, when my brother was going to school, that he had shown these kids my picture and talked about me so much that they remember me. I realize just how much my little brother Jesse loves me. It tears me up inside for all that he has went through. We just won our football game for Dunellen High School. My mom is here to pick my friend and me up to take us to Miami for a gun show in the Miami Marina District. We drive all night down to Miami and arrive early Saturday morning. We drive by some crazy nightclub where some scantily clothed hooker comes running into the street towards our van yelling, $10! My friend and I get a kick out of this behavior because we were joking that we would not touch that tall, stringy, nappy woman if she paid us $10. Considering that we both had gorgeous girlfriends, we were a little arrogant. As we drive by, we can hear music coming from the nightclub building, and there's a faint blue glow coming out of the open door. My mom, my friend, and I drive into a gas station and get some snacks and gas. Since I have not slept and will be working all day, I decide that I need some chemical help. I get a package of No-Dose. When I'm coming out of the store in South Miami, some dude dressed in white socks rushes up on me, asking me if I can spare a buck. I have a small pistol in my pants, and this dude is freaking me out. I'm actually scared. I almost decide to shoot him immediately, but I hesitate. I realize that he's no threat. My heart is still beating a million miles an hour. It is 4:30 in the morning in South Miami. Of course I'm rattled. That is a first. No dude has ever run up on me like that, especially in the middle of the night. We head over to Denny's and have breakfast. The pancakes are great. We check out the newspaper and laugh about the classified ads. There are all kinds of wild, crazy personal ads. The classifications have a variety of coded letters like SWF and many more. We are having fun trying to decipher them. After we leave Denny's, we take a cruise into Coral Gables to check out the super rich houses. The trees have grown over the road, making a natural canopy, and the woods are thick in this area, so it's hard to make out the houses. But sometimes we can get a glimpse. This area of Florida is beautiful. I'm excited because we get to drive along the south side of the University of Miami. I plan possibly to go there someday. The University of Miami is my third choice. My first choice is the Air Force Academy, and then the University of Wyoming, and last the University of Miami. I love the Miami Hurricanes, but the university has already offered me a full ride for wrestling. I'm an excellent athlete, and when I was at the state finals in Laramie the previous spring, I had impressed the university coach with my performance. He told me to keep my grades up and keep doing good if I wanted. I could get a ride to the University of Wyoming. That had made me feel good. The day's gorgeous, and my friend and I wander around checking out the booths throughout the gun show. There are guns of all kinds and ninja paraphernalia, which includes endless kinds of throwing stars and blowguns. Some booths have T-shirts with wild sayings on them, like "Kill them all, let God sort them out." Many tables have all kinds of books covering them. One book that I see is the Anarchist Cookbook. It's a big black book with recipes for all kinds of gimmicks, destructive stuff. I had bought it a year before and played with it. It taught me how to make gunpowder from scratch and how to make fireworks. The gun show is like a flea market that focuses on military state of mind, a bonanza of war stuff. We go outside and check out the marina. There are all kinds of brand new looking boats and big yachts. The boats and docks are immaculate, as everything here stinks of money and maintenance. I've always loved the ocean, and I just inhale the salty scent coming off the water. The docks are awesome, and we meet a cool man who's getting ready to sail around the world. His yacht is huge, and it looks immaculate. It appears to be new. I want so badly to ask him to take me with him, because I want to get away to somewhere where I will feel safe. I do not ask him. Instead, we just talk about wrestling, school, and his trip. He's a charming man. I like him. That night, we drive up the strip to North Miami Beach. On the way, Mom points out all the pimps. They're making deals for their women workers, and she points out the prostitutes waiting for work. Some of the women are beautiful. Mom tells us that a huge percentage of prostitutes in Miami are HIV positive. We check into the Pink Flamingo Motel in North Miami Beach. The place is nice. She buys us some beer from the outdoor bar on the beach. My mom, my friend, and I go to the convenience store and buy some lottery tickets. Then we head back to the motel. My friend and I go out and check out the pool where two cute Hispanics are watching us and giggling. We decide to join them in the pool, but we do not really even talk to them. They leave and we get out. The girls are going somewhere. My friend and I start walking the strip. A black Porsche cuts me off. as it cuts into a parking lot, and the passenger, a petite, nicely dressed up woman, waves me over. When I come up to the window, I see two hot young women in the back seat, and then I step back. I can smell different blends of perfume coming from the car. I look at my friend, and then we both back away. The car speeds off. My friend and I decide that they're prostitutes, and we laugh it off. It is all a big adventure for us. The next day, we work all day, and then we head back home. We spend most of the day selling knives and jewelry. My mom has a way of finding all kinds of oddball stuff that she hustles and resells. She has cases of rings and an assortment of switchblades and stilettos. After the show, we pack up and drive straight home. We get back to Dunellen early in the morning and have to get ready for school. I take the caffeine pills to school and I eat them like candy so I can get through the day. I'm hooked on the caffeine and take it every hour between classes. I start flunking out of almost every subject in school. I have a 27% in math, and that's about average for my other classes. When I lived in Wyoming, I was always on the honor roll and usually got an A or B in class, sometimes a C. I am frustrated that I'm struggling in school. It's hard for me because I just cannot seem to focus. Taking more pills, I just write it off and tell myself that I do not care. Struggling and in pain, I keep playing football. But the sun and caffeine are killing me at practice. In the hot afternoon sun, I suffer from the worst blinding sharp headaches. I'm waiting for the coach to remove me from the team for not keeping my grades up. When I'm not in school, I'm going to parties everywhere. I cannot stand to be near my mom's house, and I find any excuse to get away. There's something about that place that drives me crazy, and I hate it there. I think it is just being near my mom. She sucks the life out of me and makes my skin crawl. There's something about being near her that just irks me. I cannot stand her looking at me. To listen to her literally makes me sick to my stomach. In my mind, I actually have fantasy ideas to kill her and my stepdad. I know where there's a gun in their bedroom, and I think out that all I have to do is go in there, get the gun, and shoot them both. While daydreaming, I think that if I kill them, she'll be gone and will not be able to hurt me anymore. It actually comforts me when I think about what she did to Jesse and how she'll not be able to hurt him anymore either. I'm so mad at her for what she did to Jesse. And I had left Florida the year before after her confessing revelations to try to keep Jesse and me there. Jesse was about my size. He was good looking, skinny, and healthy. While he was there for that year, he gained massive amounts of weight to where he was over 180 pounds. Then when Mom talked about him, all she could do was complain about how he ran up a $500 phone bill by talking on sex lines. Hearing her got repetitious and tiring. Hearing her talk about him filled me with rage. I think back to when my mom always reminds me how those teenage girls took Jesse in the bushes and molested him. She explains that away because the school called home after he had grabbed the girl's butt. It turned my stomach hearing that story of her trying to explain about those girls getting him when he was 4 years old, because it did not ring true in my mind. I knew my neighborhood in Lake Charles, and no girls lived around us that I knew of. I could not even imagine any teenage girls hanging around. It seemed like my mom's ideas just came from the air. Angrily, I thought of when she would try to get us to sleep naked with her, and how she would touch herself in front of us and watch us as she did so. That almost made me puke one time. I felt so violated just being a witness to such spectacles. The thought of her messing with Jesse upset me. Feeling helpless, I hated the fact that she was able to use him like that. At least that's how I perceived it. One day, my friends and I go to the house and we vandalize the hell out of the place. We throw food all over the place and just leave it a total mess. I felt guilty about it, but really did not care. I was so full of hate and anger that I was just like, do whatever you two want. A week or two later, I'm sitting on my bed in the middle of the night. I'm wide awake as I do not sleep much anymore. To stay awake at school, I had started taking caffeine pills all the time, and my mind is always going 100 miles an hour. Whenever I try to sleep, I start thinking about this and that, and end up dwelling on all the mistakes I have made. My mind races with thoughts as I constantly downgrade myself and tell myself that I am no good. Repeatedly, I keep telling myself that no matter how hard I try, I keep failing. Negatively, I tell myself that I will never amount to anything. I hold a razor blade and I look at it. It is flimsy in my hand and awkward to hold. I'm thinking of cutting myself. I want to hurt myself bad, but I do not want to hurt myself permanently. My insides hurt as these bad thoughts I am having are making me cry. I start cutting my stomach and it stings. Blood trickles down my stomach as the blade cuts across my flesh. The pain feels good, so I make another cut, then another, and another. Slowly and methodically, I keep cutting myself repeatedly. With each cut, the emotional pain seems to be dissipating. It is as if the emotional pain is leaving me as I feel physical pain. It is a relief. Cuts and lines of blood cover my stomach. Afterwards, I see what I have done and I am ashamed. I make a phone call. It is about 3 a.m. where I am, and I call California. My friend actually answers the phone. I am crying. I tell him that someone has abducted me. I tell him an elaborate story, how they took me hostage and tied me up. He listened to me talk about how I have been tortured, and I beg him for help. Frightened that he will not like me, I cannot tell him that I cut myself, because then he will think I am bad. If I am not perfect, then he will leave me and will not love me. I am terrified of not being accepted. As he listens to me, I tell him that I have been strapped to a chair and that there was a swinging light pointing in my face. He does not respond, so I continue talking about where all I could see was bright light with the rest of the room being dark. He hears me talk about how they kept cutting me and asking me questions, how someone is hunting me. The stories just flow from me like I'm in some suspense movie. I let elaborate tales of fantasy come from me like flowing water. I'm a spectacular liar, and no matter how hard I try, even to start telling the truth, reality shuts me down with fear. I can't let anyone see that I'm truly nothing and that I'm damaged, because then they won't want me and won't help me. I am ashamed of being me, as I feel I am nothing. He listens to me talk, and then he's gone. I wish that he would come get me away from this place. I do not know what he will do. I am back to sitting in the room, and eventually I fall asleep. When I lived in Florida for a summer with my brother, Jesse, mother, and third stepdad, year before, I would play a lot with my stepdad's 2 pit bulls. I was 14 years old. I weighed about 115 pounds. These 2 dogs were solid muscle, and they were dark in color, almost a bluish tint. They had short hair, and they loved to play. They bit hard in their play, and they made me bleed a lot. To this day, I can still see some scars from their teeth. One thing they used to do was follow me all over the property. Our property was huge. We lived on a piece of land that was easily 500 acres. There were forests, fields, and ponds. The pond had green weeds that grew in it, so I was scared to swim in it for fear of snakes and crocodiles. There was a little metal boat with no oars that I would get to use to go out in the pond with. I'd use semi-formed broken boards as oars. They worked. The dogs would swim in the pond and attack the oars. Actually, they attacked my hands on the oars. Sometimes they'd get a hold of me good, and my blood would run down along the makeshift oars into the water. The pond was about 200 yards from our home. This was a problem because the dogs would chase me back to the house trying to get me. There were times I was actually afraid of these dogs because I knew they could hurt me very badly. I also made it a point to keep them away from my body and face to protect myself. I had to jump out of the boat and sprint as fast as I could, run about 50 yards to a tree. When I got to that tree, I would jump up, grab a branch, and pull myself into the tree to get away from those two pit bulls. They were faster than I was, so I could not outrun them. I would wait in the tree until they were side by side, and then I'd jump out of the tree, grab both the dogs by the back of the neck, and push their heads into the dirt. That was the only way I knew how to disable them both. I felt that if I did not make sure to keep them both pushed down, and if I only got one, then the other one would bite me. Then I would turn and sprint as fast as I could for about another 50 yards and jump up into another tree and go through the same process again. It usually takes me repeating this ritual about 3 times to get home. If I was quick enough and would hurdle the fence surrounding the house, I would only have to jump into 2 trees. I liked playing with the dogs, but I was afraid of them. Daily I played with the dogs, and even after most of the summer, I was still wary of them hurting me. The next year, when I came back to Florida from Wyoming, things were different between those dogs and me. A lot had happened in that year as I went through dramatic changes. I had learned that I did not know who my father was. I had been in trouble. I ran away twice, and now I was 15 years old. About as much attention as I gave those dogs was a sideways look as I walked past them in the house to see what they were doing. We just lounged around and we had no energy for each other.
1 minute remaining.
They existed and I existed. I do not remember playing with them at all. They were just there. A light fixture for all I cared. I would see them watching me sometimes, but that was all they did. One night when I was trying to go back to Wyoming because I was so confused and angry down there, I was in a massive argument with my mom. She did not want me to go, and I was not listening. Having grown used to my mom's tactics, I was so efficient at shutting her out by then that I cannot even remember what she was saying as an argument. I remember thinking how I thought it was cool how when men were mad, they could put their hands through walls and doors. Even though I had tried, I was too little before and I could not do it. This night was different. I was full of rage, and I wanted to see if I could do it. It was not even out of anger I did it, but I used the anger to give me strength. I wanted to see if I could put my hand through that door. With all my weight behind me, I hit it as hard as I could, and I finally did put my hand through the door. At first, I thought it was cool, but when I looked at the door, I felt stupid. It was like, what a waste. Looking at the hole in the door, I felt childish and did not feel any of the gratification I thought I would. I actually regret doing that. The 2 dogs were so scared by my outburst and yelling that they hit the trailer house door with so much force that they folded up the corner of the door. They desperately wanted to get out of the house and away from me. Those dogs were in the living room and could not even see me because I was in the bedroom. I remember my stepdad coming into the room crying because his dogs were so upset, and I looked at him thinking he was a punk. I thought he was weak, and I was prepared to fight him and probably smash him. Satisfied, I laughed that those dogs were afraid of me because I remembered how scared I had been of them. Because then, I was so hateful that I actually found pleasure in knowing that those dogs were terrified of me back then. Later, I thought about that incident, beat myself up over it, because I looked at it as how the dogs did not even want me. And I felt bad because I had always been so close to animals. And now here I am alienated from even the animals. I felt so alone. Daydreaming of better memories, I remembered how when I was 11, I woke up thinking I had wet the bed. When I turned on the light, I discovered that I had indeed not wet the bed, but that my cat had given birth to her litter of kittens in my lap as I slept. I remembered how she looked at me when I turned the light on to see what was going on. It was, to this day, from human and animal alike, one of the most beautiful looks I have ever seen. On the way back from Florida, back to Wyoming, I beat myself up and vowed to do my best to do better and to be perfect. Unfortunately, I just did not know what perfect was. I was so lost in confusion and hate. Lost and alone, I had ideals, but no sense of self. Inside of me was a great fear as I sensed the impending doom ahead. I remember cherishing the bus ride across the nation because I knew that that ride was one of the last things I would ever do free in my life. Something inside me just knew. Essentially, I knew I was going to die in a short time, and I embraced everything I could. Energetically and friendly, I talked with people and listened to them. I told them wild lies and tales that excited them. Leaning on the bus window, I watched fields across the Midwest. I stared out from that window seat on the bus and absorbed sights of the United States. Accepting my destiny, I just knew I was going home to die, as I knew no way out of it. When I get to Aurora, Colorado, Vanessa and her parents pick me up from the bus depot. I'll be spending the next week with her family until I go on up to Thermopolis. Vanessa takes me to her school and I sit in her classes. Her school is huge. I've never been to such a big school. I go to football practice with her since she is a team aide for the football team. Vanessa's active and super cool. Her mom takes us to the mall to get Vanessa dressed for her homecoming dance. She gets a strapless purple dress that is beautiful. The price tag is a couple $100. I cannot even comprehend how they can spend so much money on a dress. Vanessa sees a letter from Ashley in my suitcase and she gets mad at me. There's no way for me to talk myself out of that one. Vanessa reads me like an open book. We go to the homecoming dance together, but she's still mad at me. Her mom gave us money to get pictures, but I avoid getting homecoming pictures because I'm afraid that the camera will show Vanessa upset, and I don't want that. I messed up. I'm sorry. Her parents and us get in the hot tub and hang out. The hot tub's nice, and the stars at night are awesome. Later, we all watch television together. Their cable has so many channels. In the middle of the night, Vanessa sneaks downstairs to where I'm at. We spend some time together. We kiss and hold each other, and then she goes back to her bedroom. Trying to comprehend her overwhelms me. Everything that Vanessa does and thinks is so far above me. I feel like I am constantly chasing her tail, and yet she is always with me. I am so lost that I am unable to embrace how lucky I am. It is like a last holiday for me. Doom is ahead. I get back to Wyoming and I try my best to do well. I go straight to school and re-enroll. At first, the secretary tells me that I cannot come to school because she thought I had dropped out. But when I show her my transcripts from Florida, which shows all classes failing, she lets me enroll. Within a few weeks, my grades are almost all A's and B's again. I'm excelling at school and looking forward to the wrestling season. I'm doing my best to walk the straight and narrow and do well. The owner of the pool rehires me as a lifeguard, and I'm happy to be working. I spend some time in the yard playing with Tyrone. He learns how to catch a soft, spongy football. Standing a few feet apart, we play catch for about 20 minutes. He looks so happy and he is having fun. I like watching him getting better with each catch. Becky sees him and me playing, and she comes out of the house. She starts fussing about how I will hurt him and how he does not need to be learning how to catch. She takes him away. I just look at her with a feeling of someone just punching me in the solar plexus. and then I go do something else. I go walking and wandering in the hills. Halloween comes and a girl hounds me about being her girlfriend. Her friends are hounding me also. I've tried so hard to whittle down my girlfriend count to just 2, and I do not want another girlfriend. I'm still trying to figure out which of the 2 I have that I want to keep. Finally, I break weak and give in. There's no getting out of it. Anything to shut them up. I do not like dating her because her brother is in my class, but I write it off as, oh well. I, for no good reason, throw eggs at the garage door at the home of a teacher I really like. Maybe because I somehow think I can get his attention and help. This idea backfires terribly, and he's so mad at me that I clam up and will not even admit that I did it. I feel nothing but shame and regret. I've managed to isolate myself further. A friend, who's a few years older than I am, starts telling me how he has some friends coming out from town, from out of town. He's talking up this one girl as if she's a goddess. He talks about how much fun they have together. Cool. I look forward to meeting her and her friend. They arrive, and the one he has been talking about is quite large, and her friend is gorgeous. My friend, an asshole, starts going after the girl's friend right in front of her. I get extremely mad and want to put him in his place. I end up having sex with her not more than a few feet away from him. We're in a motel room, and he is leaning on the bed. I do not even care. I do not even know her name. A few weeks later, the 2 girls want to come up to Thermopolis to visit. The big girl has a date to bring with her, so the group will be the gorgeous girl, the big girl's boyfriend, and me. Cool. I look forward to it. It does not matter that the gorgeous girl has a boyfriend back where she lives. I hate myself so much anyways. Nothing seems to matter. I just beat myself up over it like everything else. We go to the Green-Eyed Monster, which is a swimming cliff outside of Thermopolis. I strip down to my underwear and jump off the cliff. It is the end of November, but I do not care. I know this will be the last time for me to make this cliff jump. I already know in my heart what is going to happen tomorrow. I do not know how, but I know. The big girl asks me if I can help with gas money. I tell her I'll come up with something. $20 I need to get. When I think of where to get it, I realize I have nowhere to go. I cannot even ask my dad, and I cannot think of any friends to ask. I feel too ashamed to bother asking. Stealing it is what I decide to do. I know that once I steal the money, there's no turning back. I have forced my own hand to do what I do not want to do. Desperation is all I know. Well, to all you listening to me, thank you for following this journey with me. The choices I make after that are the worst I've ever made in my life. And that's why we're doing this project, is because I want to help other people who struggle make different choices. So know that I am there for all of you, each and one and every one of you. Just reach out for help if you need. I'm available on reflectionsfromwithin.net. Thank you for listening to me. I am James Wiley.